Welcome back to Working Title Podcast.
Welcome back.
Due to budget constraints, Jake is going to be the guest again.
That's why I'm the guest again.
I'm just playing.
Yeah.
I have my cranberry cucumber LaCroix. Jake is void of LaCroix for today. Budget constraints.
Yeah.
But today, we will be talking about Charlie Kaufman and his newest movie, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. So, what do you think about Charlie Kaufman? What movies have you seen of him? What are some of your favorites? What are your general thoughts about the man?
So, I've seen Adaptation, which he wrote. I've seen I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which he directed and wrote. And
Strong director.
yes. What's the other one?
Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah, which he wrote.
With the funny guy.
Yes, yeah, funny guy Jim Carrey. I love that man. But yeah, I think that he's really interesting. He's really weird, and I don't often understand why he's like the way he is.
Yeah, I'm concerned for him.
I am very concerned.
He seems like so, like in his like press conferences and like where he's just talking, he seems like such a normal person. But when you see his movies, you can't help but think there's something seriously wrong with this man.
Yeah, I don't know, like, I hope he's okay.
Yeah, and I'm not really saying that out of like
yeah,
not serious at all.
I'm not trying to like make a joke out of it.
Because his work, the level of detail that has to go into making these incredibly deep and nuanced movies, like, you have to have a special kind of mind to be able to come up with the things that he does. Because it's not like, even though on the surface his movies seem like, oh sorry, I got my AirPods in still.
Is that scripted?
No, I forgot I had them in. Oh. They're so natural to me now.
Wow.
But what was I saying? Just kidding. The level of talent it takes to be able to make these things, because on the surface, it can look like complete nonsense. Like, especially, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, it can just be like, why is this dog like shaking so much?
Yeah.
But the thing is that every single detail of these movies are so thought out, and they all come to like a bigger picture in his head.
Yeah, and usually that picture is kind of like depressing.
Yeah.
And like, which is why I don't know, it's just crazy that he can think of all these like deep like dark thoughts about like existing.
Yeah.
And like what it means to like be a human and like.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because in his in his a lot of his like interviews, he's always like, I don't mean to make my movies sad. He's like, I see them as like hopeful most of the time.
Really?
Yeah, like, and I can like see it in like some of his movies, like in Eternal Sunshine, like that movie's so sad, but like it ends with them just ultimately like being okay with the fact that they're gonna like be in pain later, so they can enjoy the good parts now. Like, that's a pretty hopeful ending.
Mm-hmm.
That they're just willing to like embrace love like that.
That's true.
But yeah, there's no doubt that his movies are incredibly depressing.
Yeah, but I mean, they're interesting, and I like them. Now, what ones have you seen, Nick?
I have seen, like, just last night I watched Synecdoche, New York, which, if you check my letterbox at Nicholas Scala, yeah, I couldn't really review it because it just doesn't even feel like a movie. It makes the entire scale feel arbitrary, and like, not because it's like so perfect, or it's like, oh my god, like, this is the greatest movie ever, completely breaks the scale. It's like, it is so like not a movie that it's like you can't even like rank it on the scale of like other movies.
Yeah.
Because it's like so cliche to say it's like an experience, but like it really is. Like,
there's nothing to compare it to.
Yeah, it's just it's so its own. Even compared to Charlie Kaufman's other movies, it is so on its own level. But
that's one I really want to see.
Yeah, it
like,
was absolutely amazing. I mean, the scale of it all. I can't believe they really built New York.
Yeah,
I'm
true.
kidding.
that was directed by him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Pretty sure it was his directorial debut, which is
Wow.
very impressive.
Man.
Because people say that it is easily one of the greatest movies of that decade.
Yeah.
Maybe even of all time.
Dang.
So yeah, good for him. But I've also seen Adaptation, Eternal Sunshine, Anomalisa.
I've not seen that, yeah.
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
I thought it was like a little iffy.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of hard to remember because I saw it during Spanish, like when we had a sub.
Oh, that's cool.
We had a sub for 2 days in a row, so I watched it. So, it was, like, I can't remember every detail of it, but I think it was, like, even his, like, sloppiest movies are still, like, incredibly thought-provoking and very detailed. But I could see how some people would think it's, like, his most disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen that one. What else have I seen? We just went over this.
Being John Malkovich.
Being John Malkovich.
Which he wrote.
Yeah, I don't know. Something... I'll go into this more later, but what else? What was my other one that I saw?
Was that not it?
No, I've seen 6. And that was Synecdoche, Eternal Sunshine, Adaptation, and Anomalisa,
Oh.
Being John Malkovich.
The new one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
And I'm thinking of ending things.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, this is a non-scripted podcast.
Yeah.
What if podcasts
Our
were scripted?
podcasts. Yeah.
But what I was going to say with Being John Malkovich...
Is that a script?
No, these are actually my notes.
Oh,
bro.
sorry.
I'm thinking of ending things that
Sorry.
I wrote down.
Continue.
What I was gonna say with Being John Malkovich is that it's not something about that movie did not really like stick with me as much as I thought it would, and I was like, dang, maybe like there was a period of time where I was like, maybe I'm just not as big of a fan of Charlie Kaufman as like I thought I would be, because I mean, you know me, I'm a pretty quirky guy. So,
Yeah.
So you would think that I would be a big fan of Charlie Kaufman's work because his stuff is just so
Quirky.
Yeah, he is a quirky guy. He is probably the quirkiest guy out there.
Yeah. Now that I think about it.
But so when I saw Being John Malkovich, and it didn't really like hit me as much as I thought it would, especially because I've heard so many good things about it. I was like, maybe like this guy just really, maybe it's just not for me. But then I watched Adaptation. Then just yesterday I watched Synecdoche, and I think before I thought too much about the artistry of it and being like, oh my god, this movie makes no sense at all, and thinking like that is like who he is like as a director, like his style is like not making sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the more that I like look back at his movies, and after seeing Adaptation, Synecdoche, I feel like that all of his movies are grounded in some way.
Mm-hmm, I agree,
and
yeah.
I think that like once you can acknowledge the fact that there is that level of like stability and groundness and like humanity, that's when I like really fall in love with his work, because I feel like recently I read an article called Essence versus Storytelling, and it's like storytelling is like the mechanics of it, like structure and like the screenplay or whatever, and Essence is like everything that goes into like what makes the audience like feel, kind of like the texture of like a movie, like mise en scène, like audio, like everything. And I feel like and the argument in the article is that essence always needs storytelling, but storytelling doesn't always need essence.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like a storytelling, like a movie that's focused on storytelling without essence won't be like as flashy or as visually appealing. It probably won't even be as great as other movies, but
Yeah.
it at least has that foundation of like being like a good story.
Yeah.
But a movie that's only focused on essence
There's nothing there,
yeah, there's nothing there once you look past like the CGI or whatever. Like a lot of people accuse Marvel of being like just pure essence movies,
Yeah.
which like I can see for some of them, but
I like Marvel though.
yeah, I'm a big Marvel guy.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's like hard to explain, because I feel like Charlie Kaufman is like the king of like essence movies, because when trying to apply a structure to these films, it can get pretty confusing. The only one that I feel like I can really like apply a strict structure to is like Adaptation and Eternal Sunshine.
I agree.
And you could argue those are his most grounded movies, where like they're the closest to reality. Like, I'm thinking of Ending Things and Synecdoche, New York. I tried, and it was infinitely more complicated than with his other like movies, and just any movie made by anyone else. Like every movie like follows a structure in my opinion, but it is much harder to find that pattern in like Charlie Kaufman's movies. So I feel like he obviously has a level of storytelling, or else he wouldn't be such an acclaimed like screenwriter. But his movies have such a level of essence to them. Like, if you look on the Letterboxd reviews for Synecdoche, New York, I went like 3 pages deep, and there was only one review that talked about what makes it a good movie, and all the reviews were like all 5 stars and saying like, this movie just made me like feel something that I've never felt from any movie, and like the ideas expressed in this movie are done so perfectly that I just couldn't help but like, the movie just like latched onto me, and like that is like what I feel like Essence is like about. And there's like screenplay and storytelling elements that go into it, but everyone talks about Charlie Kaufman movies because of how they make them feel, like on the inside. And I feel like that's like, and I feel like that's kind of the magic of like his movies. Any thoughts, or?
Yeah. Oh, but okay. So I mean, can't like you said that there is like an out like, if like his movies are so based around like, or what people get most out of his movies are being able to feel something, like I guess I like, can they feel as much as they do without like, with the idea that it's mostly based on like what you call essence? Like, I feel like you're able to feel so much of his movies that like there might be a little more storytelling aspect, even though I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
like,
no, I agree, because
like more than like I would think at first glance. I mean, he probably knows obviously what he's doing, but like I don't like.
Does he really?
Yeah. But like, it's just interesting. Like, I don't know like what the right answer is, and there probably isn't one. But like, it's like how, like, if what you're getting from his movies is like essentially all like stuff that you can feel, like how much of it is really based on its essence, like how much does the story actually impact it? Because I feel like the story, even though I might not know what it is, and I never will know what it is, it still has a bigger effect than I think it does, just, you know, based on me watching it once.
That's why I think like learning about like structure and like storytelling and everything is like really beneficial, because you learn like how to differentiate between a movie that is just purely essence and a movie that is quality storytelling. And I feel like what I was like with Charlie Kaufman, it's an interesting case because obviously he is a master at his craft, and like storytelling can take as basic, like every movie can be summed down to a character wants something, they can't get it, and then they learn how to get it by changing.
Somebody wanted but so.
Yeah, exactly. So, and to some level, every movie has storytelling. It's just how well you do the storytelling aspect can determine. It's like the support of the essence. It's like like a building or something. So I feel like Charlie Kaufman's essence, there is such a level of detail in both storytelling and essence, but Charlie Kaufman's level of essence is something that we've never seen before, with his outlandish ideas and incredibly, sometimes haunting like imagery, that even though even though he's denounced it, there has to be some strong level of storytelling going on, or else his movies would just be, any movie would just be incoherent without.
I feel like you wouldn't be able to like feel as much as you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like the conflict and the drama comes from the storytelling aspect, not how a film is shot. But he has such a strong balance between both, except his essence is just something we've never seen before.
Yeah, which is why it like kind of overpowers it.
Yeah, that's how we get like the strong feeling, because this is something his work is just, it's honestly like revolutionary. So
Mm-hmm.
after watching Synecdoche especially, I was like thinking for a bit, and I was like, I feel like this is truly like his work is what film is like supposed to be.
That's what I thought exactly. After watching I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Yeah, like I think it's just like the definition of like film, because like obviously film can be it spans like multiple genres, like documentary is still like film.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Charlie Kaufman's like movies have a level of realism but such a strong deviation from realism, but still explore certain aspects of humanity that I just imagine that's what storytelling is. Exploring like humanity through seemingly realistic concepts, because like there's movies that explore humanity by just looking at like the average Joe, like him living his life.
Yeah,
but,
what's that one? That one funny guy movie.
Truman Show?
What? Yeah, Truman Show, Jim Carrey.
Yeah, funny guy.
I love that.
I love that funny guy.
Yeah.
But there's something to Charlie Kaufman's films where it takes realism and it flips it on its head. And I feel like that is what people mean when they say, like, I just saw like a movie. I feel like to like some degree, no movie is exactly like reality, because reality is boring. Like, no matter, it's like what people say with dialogue.
Boring because we already know what it is, like, which is like, I mean, like, it could be interesting, but like but he just stems so far from reality. It's like that's what draws us to it, is because we're not used to seeing anything that he does.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of like how people say that like we're so scared of like masks and like stuff like that is because we're like the most fearful of things that like resemble humans but aren't quite human. You know, like that thing where it's like people are afraid of like the dark and stuff because it's like the unknown, but it's like humanity, but it's like kind of like warped.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what makes his movie so interesting. It's like close to humanity. It's close to being real, but it has that Kaufman touch that makes it so far out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like Synecdoche, New York, like takes place like on Earth, like in 2008 or whatever. But it's like that doesn't take place in reality.
Mm-hmm.
He can't build New York. Nobody can build New York inside a warehouse in New York for a play.
Yeah.
And it's like things like that where that separation from reality, but still just like that hint of realism,
mm-hmm.
that just like makes his work so transformative. And like it's hard to explain, but yeah, I feel like that's like what film like is like when I think of just like stories, when someone says like tell me a story, I don't think like, oh well, let me tell you like how I went to the grocery store. Like I think of something like far out from reality, but still has like a touch of like I'm telling you this story because it's related to us and to reality in some way, but I don't want it to be just reality.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like his movies just on like some level are just like what people imagine like movies should be.
Yeah, like the reason I agree with that, and like the reason I also thought like this is like what a movie is because like he takes advantage of the like medium specific entity like techniques that make film what it is. Like you can't, you know, I don't know if this actually happened, but like something that could have been in like I'm Thinking of Ending Things is like you see like a young version of someone like cut somewhere else and then cut back and he's like old. Like when I like just in my classes like we're talking about like medium specificity like film compared to like theater, and theater is so based in reality that like you're limited in a sense just because of, you know, it's like live in person, but like there's so much that you can do with just like the medium of like film that I think he takes full advantage of that, and that's what makes it so intriguing. Like that's not something you would just normally think of, but like you can't do what he's doing through movies anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like you can't visualize it as he does, and that is because of his essence. I mean, his storytelling, I guess, like you could like write that story and imagine it, but like the essence is what makes it like
his visuals are insane. Is that were you reading that from like Eisenstein or whatever?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I also have to make sure the mic is on. Like, I know it is, but, like, I just wanted to double... Okay, yeah. But... Yeah, it's like what Eisenstein... I don't know how that's pretty pronounced it, but...
Eisenstein, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was saying in, like, montage and stuff. He was, like... There's, like, the idea that, like, movie... Or, like, film is, like, based in... It's, like, rooted in theater. And, like, that's where it came from. But he was saying that, like... There is no way that film can be anything else because, like, theater cannot create montage because you can't just show these sequential things happening all at once. Like, they tried, but you just can't. And yeah, he just uses that. I guess we can start talking about, like, examples now from, like, things we've seen. Like, I wanted to bring that up too, is the way he manipulates time. You can't do in any other medium. Like,
it's just another example of, like, using the specific techniques that make film what it is. He just does it to the max.
Yeah.
Like, he just takes full advantage of it. But yeah.
Yeah, because this isn't a spoiler for Synecdoche because it happens in literally the first minute. But in all of his movies, even though we were saying that his movies are kind of, like, crazy and we never really know what they're about, like, we get the general ideas. Like, he talks about concepts that just humans struggle with. Like, everyone struggles with, like, being, like, identity,
love,
death, time, love. I feel like those are all themes that all of his movies have explored in some capacity. And in Synecdoche, New York, it really, in his other movies, but especially in this movie, it focuses on, like, time and how time just, like, slips through, like, our fingertips when we're just not paying attention. Like, how easily our lives can just, like, fly past us and we just, like, we're so focused on something else that we forget to... Do you got a...
Oh.
You playing right now, or...
No.
Okay, so, sorry for the technical difficulties. We are running on 3 separate batteries where none are fully charged. As I was saying, in the earliest moments of Synecdoche, New York, I didn't realize this until looking back at the scene, but the cuts and it is just so... Oh my god, let me try and explain this because it, like, the movie starts... Oh my god. Okay. As I was saying, in Synecdoche, New York, it opens on, like, September 2nd or something. And then he gets out of his bedroom and it cuts to, like, the radio saying, like, it's September 17th. And then it cuts to, like, him sitting down with, like, a newspaper and it's October 1st. And then it cuts to him, like, smelling the milk and he looks at the date and it's October 20th.
That's
and it's like, oh, it's expired.
That's confusing.
And then it cuts to him, like, reading, like, looking at the TV and it says, like, November 1st. And then it cuts to him, like, standing up to put something down. And then it's, like, the newspaper says it's, like, November 15th. And, like, in one scene, literally in one scene, months travel. Like,
that's crazy.
You can't do that in any other mediums, especially so subtly. In a book, it's like, oh, now it's November 17th, and then now it's November 20th. Like, it is that the way that he manipulates the medium is completely revolutionary.
Yeah.
And that's how he makes films unlike anything else, I feel like. Yeah, we were talking about discontinuity editing in my class, and he's just like, he uses it so, it's weird because he uses discontinuity editing in somewhat more of a traditional and, like, subtle way, because it's not like he's doing, like, crazy, like, shower burst shots where, like, in The Mood for Love, where they're, like, shooting conversations from, like, outside of a building or something like that. Like, when you're just looking at it on the surface, it's traditional editing, but when you're looking at it for, like, what it's trying to say, the editing conveys so much, especially in I'm Thinking of Ending Things, when there's, like, talking and the cuts are always timed wrong in these conversations.
Yeah,
like,
that was funny.
When they're driving in the car and she'll be, like, thinking and she doesn't stop thinking, but he just, like, it cuts to him talking, but the tone of his voice is as if he's been talking for, like, the past minute.
Yeah.
Where when he asks a question, he's not like, then he says, like, so what do you think about this? Like, quick, and it's like, it's so jarring.
Yeah, it is. Everything in that movie is jarring.
Yeah, like
Honestly, I was terrified when I was watching
that movie was. I think that's definitely. I wouldn't say like Charlie Kaufman's movies, like the eeriness and the strangeness of it. It doesn't usually make it scary, but that movie definitely had like some horror elements to
I
it.
was
I feel
scared.
like. It was like psychological horror.
Yeah, it was.
Because like his other movies, sorry, his other movies are just weird, and like, but like this was like kind of psychologically like
Yeah. Terrifying.
yeah, messed up.
Yeah. But I couldn't help. I was laughing the whole time though. It was like something.
Yeah.
We live.
Yeah, we're live. Okay. As we were saying before the battery died again, I'm thinking of ending things completely uses the medium of film.
We still on that?
I thought we were.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, because and when he goes to the farm, like for the first time,
Yeah.
and they get to the house and the mom is like waving really,
Yeah.
really creepily. And they go to the farm. It just cuts in between, like it cuts into the middle of a conversation as if it's completely fine. And what I was saying before is that like a lot of people think that like the the screenplay books and whatever are just like stupid. I mean, I feel like I learned a lot from that, but I feel like also it kind of just reinforces the fact that there are so many like rules to filmmaking. It's like, oh, if you do this, then you're right, and if you do this, then you're wrong, or something like that. And it's like that's just not how the medium works. Like
Yeah.
Charlie Kaufman has blatantly shown that like you don't cut into the middle of a conversation, and like traditionally you don't.
Yeah.
But Charlie Kaufman has shown that like you can make it work for your movie so well because that adds to the creepy atmosphere of it all.
That's
like
why I love
something's
it.
wrong.
Yeah, like he just does whatever he wants. I think that's why I was like laughing. I was like, "This is amazing." He's just doing whatever he like, whatever he feels like.
And it adds like, and it's so deliberate. Like we were saying again, like Charlie Kaufman movies, you can look at it and just be like, okay, well this was a ton of nonsense.
Yeah.
But every single choice is so deliberate.
Yeah, he's
like,
not doing it for no reason.
Yeah, like the editing choices. I mean, we've like talked about this. I guess we can talk about it on Thinking About Anything's more. How it like takes place in like the janitor's head. Like Jake is the janitor, and he like dies at the end of the movie. He like takes off all his clothes and basically just like freezes himself to death.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I guess he just like kills himself. But if you think about it, and like the movie is taking place in the time, moments before his death, like he's looking back on his life and just like these snippets. So it's like you wouldn't think like you don't look at memories in like chronological order completely fluidly. Like remember every single aspect. You remember like snippets.
You remember like one thing reminds you of another thing.
Yeah, so it's like the editing choice makes sense for like the message of the movie.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of goes into the essence of the movie. Like that is like a pretty, in a sense, something you would traditionally write in like a screenplay. Like cut here, make it, like make sure that doesn't like work out well. Like
do it wrong.
Yeah, like that is part of the essence. Where his essence is so non-traditional and so revolutionary. Yeah, that's like you have to focus on that like more than anything else because getting lost in the essence is like part of the experience of his movies because it's like a puzzle that you have to decipher.
That's just why I think it's so like brilliant. Like I get why people like weren't like this might not have been their thing, but like I think it's amazing like what he can do and like what he can think of and like how it's just all but yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, like I liked it.
Okay. Well, I feel like we can kind of go into like I don't know. What do you think is your favorite Charlie Kaufman movie and why?
I don't know. All the three that I've seen, like I like a lot. I think for different reasons. Like I really enjoyed I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Just like I said, because it's so like out there and because like I mean I haven't seen all the ones that you have, but out of the three that I've seen, he definitely took the most like creative liberties. He just made it his own, and like, I don't know, I just loved that. I loved how you could see how he thinks, I guess, as you were watching it. And I just like the message too of that one.
What do you think the message is?
Well, I mean, it's like, I mean, this is kind of stuff we've already said, but like, it's like the movie's like built around time, but there's also like aspects of like love and relationship, obviously, with the two main characters. But I liked the idea. I don't like thinking of this on my own because it's like freaky. But like, I liked how he examined the way like time moves, and like something. I mean, this is not an original idea, but something I thought was cool. Like, as they stopped driving on the way back home, they like stopped at the school. Like, they were going home, but like they stopped at the school. They stopped driving, and that's when like when they stopped, that's when they met the janitor. Like, it was all coming together. Like, the janitor stopped remembering he stopped remembering, and so they stopped driving.
And it was just him being like,
it was him being him. Yeah. So I mean, that was cool. I just like how they tackled the idea of time and how it moves, and how there's some kind of quote that the main character said.
Was it where you just like,
we don't move through time.
Yeah, like
time moves through us. Yeah. So that's what I think is what it's all about. So I like that idea, but I think I might like Eternal Sunshine a little better just because it was, I don't know, it was more personal, I guess. I don't know. To be honest, I haven't seen that and Adaptation in so long. I don't really have anything like add besides just parts that I like. Like, I should have researched.
It's okay.
But I like that movie. Yeah, so that's my favorite. But Adaptation is really good. I liked an Adaptation. I mean, it's what the movie's about, but I liked how he wrote a movie about himself. Like, Spike Jonze, like, the tagline on Letterboxd is like, you know, follow me on Letterboxd if you can find it. But
if you can find it, because we're not telling you.
The tagline is like, from the creator of Being John Malkovich, a story about the creator of Being John Malkovich. And I'm like Spike Jonze, like, they're on the set of Being John Malkovich, and it's like Charlie Kaufman writing about Charlie Kaufman in the movie, and he's writing about the movie that is Adaptation in the movie Adaptation. Like,
that movie was so brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, in the scene where he's like, I got it, I'll write it about myself, and he's like, and then Charlie Kaufman speaks into the recorder and says, and then Charlie Kaufman speaks to the recorder. Like, what?
Honestly, I think,
because he had to have done that in real life, then wrote the line, and then wrote the line of him writing the line.
It's just infinite. Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
But I don't know. Honestly, I might like all of them the same. Like, I don't have a favorite out of those three. I just like them all a lot. Like, I really like them for different reasons.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, if I saw Synecdoche, New York, that would probably be my favorite, but I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, once I asked, I kind of realized like the futility of that question, because I feel like I was kind of saying about Synecdoche, like, it makes the ranking system of like 1 through 5 like arbitrary, because his movies are so like personal. I feel like that there's such experiences that you can't even like rank them with other traditional movies, and I feel like it is hard to decide what a favorite Charlie Kaufman movie is, because his movies all express something so beautifully.
Yeah, they speak to you in different ways, I guess.
Like, Eternal Sunshine, like, is incredibly personal and incredibly like comforting in a way, and it's like sadness where it's like you're not alone in feeling this way and like wanting to forget. But you see something like that in all of his movies, where like something personal comes out in everything, because on some level all of his movies are about something that humans can relate to in some capacity. Like, on its most basic level, everyone has thought about death, everyone has thought about love, everyone has thought about time. Like, and his movies have enough, they're like, I don't want to say like deep enough, because that just sounds like, I don't know, cliche, but like each movie is like deep enough to like derive different meaning from it each time, where it's like, Synecdoche, New York is like, you could find a million meanings in that movie.
Yeah.
You could watch that infinitely, I feel like, because there's always something new there, because it is just so nuanced. And I feel like all of his movies are like that to some capacity. Even his most like grounded, I feel like, which would be Adaptation.
Yeah.
You can derive so much from that movie.
Yeah.
Like the cycle of time, like knowing oneself, identity especially, and yeah, also it's just so crazy that I told this to you after I finished that movie. You have to be so self-aware to write a movie about yourself.
Yeah, you have to like
changing as a person.
That's wild.
Imagine how much like self-reflection. I actually like read when I was reading reviews after that. He was like, yeah, I actually couldn't, like, all that happened except for like the alligator and stuff. He was like, the whole process like actually happened. Like, I couldn't sleep for weeks while writing that movie. I just had no idea what to write about. Like,
that's why we say like, I hope he's okay, because like like imagine writing that, like something so detailed and so like you're critiquing yourself. I mean, it was not he was not kind to himself.
It was incredibly derogatory.
Yeah, he was like just bashing himself for being lazy.
With like the voiceover, like, oh, you fat slob, you bald fat slob.
Yeah, it's sad. So, but I think that like the multiple meanings thing, like you get so like there's so many meanings you can derive from his movies. That's like what I thought of, like I'm thinking of ending things, because like the first time I watched it, I haven't watched it more than once. I don't know if I'm saying that.
Upon initial viewing.
Yeah. But if I was to go back and watch it, I'm not gonna focus on like the like main girl, even though she was introduced first, she was billed as like the main character. Like, this is a movie about like Jake and his life and his reflections on his life, and like I'm gonna think about it knowing that, I mean, you know, this could be said for any movie, like you think about it with the end in mind because you already know it, but like there's just so many little things that you can pick apart based on what you already know. Like I'm not gonna think about it in terms of their relationship.
Yeah.
Because even though that's what I thought the movie was about initially, like my only time watching it, but like I'm gonna think about him as the janitor reflecting, and I'm gonna, like, you know, you can draw different things from the scenes, and like, I mean, there's scenes that I probably still won't understand completely. Like, I don't remember, you know, every single detail from that movie, even though I watched it like a week or two ago, so I don't remember everything in its entirety, but like I was a little confused on the ice cream part. Like I don't know. There's little things that I need to go back and look at.
I think that, like, that's also what's so genius about that movie, is that the protagonist is, like, not the protagonist. Like, you're not looking for, like, how Lucy or Louisa or whatever.
They don't give her a name.
You don't, like, look at the movie anymore. After seeing it for the first time, you don't really look at it anymore through the lens of, like, how does she change? Like, what is her story? She is, like, a side character, except the movie is about her. And the choice to explore, like, a broken person through another person who is just a memory is...
That's crazy.
Like, again, the level of, like, one, dedication to explore such a heavy-handed topic, and two, the level of talent to be able to make that comprehensible in any way, and not just that, but incredibly interesting and nuanced, is, like, that's just Charlie Kaufman. And nobody else can do that. Yeah.
That's why, like, I just would not be, like, a good, like, I know if I were to be I don't want to be a screenwriter, but I'm like, I could never be a screenwriter. Like, I realize that not every movie is on that level. Yeah. But, like, how do people just come up with ideas?
Literally, screenwriting takes, like... You, like, read about these things and you're like, man, how do these take so long? Like, it's gonna make another one. Like, screenwriting is so hard. Yeah. Like, people always be like, Quentin Tarantino will be like, I worked on the screenplay for probably 12 years.
Yeah.
It's like...
I can't come with an idea to even start doing that, and two, I would not be that dedicated to just, like, continuously, like, I don't know.
Especially with that level of detail, like you said, like, you can go back and there's so many little things that can just, like, pop up at a second viewing, like, oh my god, this means this,
Mm-hmm.
and it all ties together. Like, how does someone come up with that level of detail with, like, such precision where you can hide something the first time around, and the second time around have it be completely revolutionary?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
he's a master of, like, setup and payoffs, because
Yeah.
once you realize the ending, it recontextualizes
The entire
literally
thing.
everything you've seen before. It's a
Yeah.
completely different movie.
Yeah, you think about it in terms of the basically like first it's 2 hours long, like the first hour and a half just being memories, like not even being
Yeah.
real. like that's not even real life that you're watching for most of the movie.
Yeah. In Synecdoche, New York, like, one of the most famous quotes, I don't even know if it's this, but it's something like this, where it's like the beginning, or the end is like built into the beginning. I feel like that's like Charlie Kaufman's like philosophy. The
Mhm.
ending always recontextualizes the beginning
Yeah.
in some capacity with all of his movies. Even with like, even with Eternal Sunshine, where it's just like a loop again, where like
Mhm.
you can just like you can put the ending scene in like the beginning of the movie, and then it would just play out like the movie happened all over again.
Yeah. Yeah, like I want to know how he even like begins to write a movie. Like he has to start from the ending. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe like he can't just like be like, yeah, I'm gonna like there was this girl.
Right, you can't just write.
Well,
free write
I know
that,
that's
like-
not how like any movie is made, but like even like the most basic like beginning stages, like how does he not just like start from the end or like work
Yeah.
backwards or like
Yeah, how does he? Well, I feel like you just have to have the entire idea in
Yeah,
mind at
yeah.
first with his movies, because it is so complicated
Mhm.
how his movies pan out.
Yeah, and maybe that's how. Maybe I'm just like oblivious and like I don't know how screenwriting works to begin with, and maybe that's how like everyone does it. Like, I mean, obviously they plan it out like before they do
Mhm.
anything else, but I don't know. I just don't see how he plans out his movies in like
Yeah.
any kind of like traditional format.
Yeah, because there's like the twists and turns where it's like the Sixth Sense. It's like, oh, like I'm dead or whatever, and it's
Mhm.
like, well, yeah, like then there's those things that you have to put into the beginning of the movie to make it like to set up a successful and like satisfying like twist. But in Charlie Kaufman movies, it's not just like you need like little bits and pieces. As I was saying, with setups and payoffs, that he is not using a traditional sense of setup and payoffs, because it's not like, because each like little hint at like the plot twist is like revolutionary the second time around. Like with The Sixth Sense, you can like watch it again. It's like, oh, he's dead. Like, oh, that's like a little like
Mhm.
neat little like nod to him being dead the entire time. With Charlie Kaufman movies, it's like a new movie the second time around.
Yeah.
You can't watch I'm Thinking of Ending Things in the same way you did the first time, because you just know like everything holds like a deeper meaning now.
Mhm. Yeah, like my mind was just blown like moment after moment of that movie. Like
Literally.
Like I just I felt so dumb, and maybe that's why people don't like it. It's because like
People don't like challenging movies.
yeah, like it's because like I don't know, but I like feeling like I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm like
It's
don't
fun to explore.
like I don't know what is going on, but like that's the kind of movie like that I enjoy
Yeah.
so much.
They're interesting like that, and that it's the same with Synecdoche, New York, and I feel like that's why it's hard to apply structure, because I mean like there's like turning points in movies or whatever where it's like new piece of information like changes the trajectory of the story, but like and I'm Thinking of Ending Things and in Synecdoche, New York, there was like a turning point like every 2 minutes, which is like some like outlandish like detail where it's like she's going down the stairs like over and over again. It's like, where does that fit in like structure? Like it has story. The movie has to have storytelling elements because it is a story. It tells a compelling story, but it's like his essence it almost like outweighs the storytelling because it's so transformative and stuff like that, where there is something happening, something really crazy happening like every 2 minutes where you get more lost in thought as time goes on.
Mm.
which is that's just unique to Charlie Kaufman. He
Yeah.
makes absolutely one of a kind movies, and I wasn't really even on the Charlie Kaufman train until like after I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and when I saw like adaptation, I was like, oh, I didn't even know Anomalisa was written by Charlie Kaufman until like literally yesterday. And then after I saw adaptation, Synecdoche, and obviously I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and the realization that he made Anomalisa, now I can like really appreciate and like respect his work, because again, before I was like, okay, yeah, like I don't know, maybe his weird movies just aren't for me, but after like really thinking about it and being truly like really touched by Synecdoche, New York, like that movie, it will literally change your life. Like what it is talking about and how it expresses its ideas, it is literally life changing. And you could say that for all his movies. Eternal Sunshine, for me, that was life changing.
Yeah, me too.
That movie is so like deeply personal to everybody who watches it. Somehow it is life changing for every single person.
Yeah.
And when there is a filmmaker, a writer who can do that at all, and then more than once, and then consistently,
all of his movies.
like that is just like, he is remarkable. I can truly appreciate his work, and the next time he's like, there's an announcement where he's making a new movie, I know I'm gonna be like as excited as everyone was for I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Yeah. I didn't really realize like how much, because the movies that I saw, like Eternal Sunshine and adaptation, like you said, they were I think they're the most grounded of his two movies. I was like, yeah, these are weird. But like after I saw like I'm Thinking of Ending Things, like that's like how I knew like how much potential he had to just like blow people's minds. Like I think how grounded the first two were. I wasn't like mind blown. Like I was like, wow, like that's crazy. But like I wasn't like, whoa. Like
this is like film. I feel like I don't know. Like like his work just reaches new heights, and his work is life changing. I really don't know how else to put it. Like especially after seeing Synecdoche, which you gotta watch that. You gotta get on
for real.
It was his work is just too profound to talk about, and like at all, essentially, like even in like Roger Ebert's review.
Why are we even doing this?
Even in Roger Ebert's review, he was like, I don't know, like he gave like an explanation, but at the end of the review, he was like, yeah, I mean,
there's only so much you can do.
He's like, this movie just has to be rewatched. You have to just experience it, and sometimes you can't put a meaning or a number onto something. It puts like a meaning onto you, and sometimes that's just like what art is supposed to do.
Wow. So,
well done, Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah.
You get my thumbs up, seal of approval.
Yeah, you're dope.
So I think we may.
I'm thinking of ending things right now. In terms of the podcast.
That was good. Yeah, I'm thinking of ending things.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking of ending things too with this podcast right now.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Thanks for watching our podcast about Charlie Kaufman. We will see you next time.
Next time.